Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah. Assalatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Welcome to the R2F show. We're doing a special pop-up show today. We're going to start off talking about the reality of YouTube speakers and what to be careful of. And we're going to talk about a very important topic when it relates to people who are leaving spiritual abuse settings, cult settings, and which I personally believe and have been saying for a while now, the most difficult group to deal with is the fence riders. But we'll get into the details off of that. If you have any questions, type them in the chat. We'll try to answer them by the end of the show. If you would like to come on the show, let us know. We'll post a link in the chat, and you can click in and give your 2 cents. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mubarak, who's going to talk to us about, as the title says, the reality of your favorite Islamic speaker.
We can't hear you. Are you muted? There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Good, yep.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإن تطع أكثر من في الأرض يضلوك عن سبيل الله إن يتبعون إلا الظن وإن هم إلا يخرصون إن ربك هو أعلم من يضل عن سبيله وهو أعلم بالمهتدين. So Allah says in Surah Al-An'am, that ayah 116 and 117, and if you obey most of those upon the earth, they will mislead you from the way of Allah. They follow not except assumption, and they are not but falsifying or just giving arguments from their desires. And even the tafsir says in this ayah that is due to their lack of knowledge and they're just imitating the ways of other people. And also 117, indeed, no doubt your Lord is the most knowing of who strays from his way, and he is most knowing of who is rightly guided. So with these 2 ayahs, I would like to start by saying that when we go through these types of people who you may come across, we are saying that if you just follow just the majority of people, Allah tells us very clearly that the majority of people will lead you astray if you just follow the majority. But also, in the next ayah, Allah says that Allah knows best who is most rightly guided and who is strayed from his path. So we don't claim to know for sure who, Allah has favored and who is absolutely correct or not. Allah is the one who's ultimately correct, Allah and his messenger. And we are just hoping to give people some indications so that Allah ultimately can guide us to the right way. So with that said, I will quickly go through a few types of people that we will encounter, or we probably have already encountered and haven't really thought about it that much as far as where they are categorized at. And we, especially nowadays, are consuming a lot of content, and the Islamic or Muslim content creators there's a lot of them, and there's a lot of going on, and honestly there's a lot of misguidance going on, intentional and unintentional. But what I hope to do is to try to shine a light on who are these people who are either, whether they're making content or whether they are du'at or speakers or people who are giving Islamic guidance or reminders or whatever to the people, kind of let people know what category they fall into, why they're there, and what to ultimately watch out for. So with that being said, beware of the reality of your favorite Islamic speaker. You can go to the next slide, please. So there is the jahil, the ignorant one. And so sometimes when we hear jahil, it's used as an insult, but in this, it's not really necessarily an insult. It's that they are ignorant, they don't know. And you have people who are the jahils like this who they usually is a person who either they just became Muslim or they're not really practicing that much. They haven't really learned about Islam. But lots of new Muslims, they become Muslim, they get a microphone, they get a nice camera, maybe they're an attractive person, right? Especially white people, Caucasians or whatever. This is not a knock on them, but this is usually the people who wind up amassing followers, and people follow them and listen to them. And but they're ignorant about the religion. So they're saying things from their culture or from Jahiliyyah or from Christianity or whatever religion they came from. And they amass a lot of followers, and the people who wind up following them and following their lead and their guidance, whether it's intentional or not, is people who are just like them, new Muslims who come in, and non-practicing Muslims or Muslims who just are thirsty, and they either like the man or the woman, or they just want to be entertained. And so listening and following these type of people, and I'm not saying that if a person is subscribed to one of their channels or anything like that, that it's haram or anything like that, but you have to understand the dangers of following these type of people, because at best what they can do is entertain you, maybe tell you some stories about their life, or maybe tell you how they came to Islam or how they're feeling, but that's about it. That's the best case scenario. They might entertain you and make you laugh, or make you cry, or make you think, or whatever, or give some information about their life or background on how they feel about Islam. But is that really going to help you? Not really. It's like watching a movie or something. I mean, there may be some haram elements in whatever they're saying or doing or wearing or looking like or whatever, but for the most part, that's the best case scenario. They might entertain you. The worst case scenario is they say a lot of things that are completely incorrect and ignorant about Islam because they don't know. And I will give one incident, and maybe y'all have some others, but the one that we always go to and kind of laugh about, even though it's not really funny, but it's so ridiculous, where, a white lady, she had became Muslim, and, she wasn't wearing hijab, but she was telling the new Muslims and the people who are following and listen to her that, if you don't know Arabic, just say your salah in English. Your khushu', and she didn't say khushu', but she said your concentration and your connection to the prayer will be so much stronger, right? And so, to a person who doesn't know, that seems like, okay, yeah, that might make sense. But this is an example of how the jahil, the ignorant person that you may follow, these speakers and these people who are talking about Islam, how they could lead a person astray. Your salah will not be accepted by you saying it in English. You say it in Arabic, and you say what you know, and what you don't know, it's okay, you're excused. But to learn your salah is not that hard. Why this lady gave however many thousands of followers she had the wrong advice about just say your salah in English, but it's one of the dangers, one of the many dangers of following these people. So that's what I have on this one. We could go on, but I'm just going to kind of touch on these shortly. But if y'all have any input on the first one, you can jump right in. But
yeah, just like you said, it's usually the most common example are the new shahadas, and they just the thing is, what we have to kind of pay attention to a lot of these when you talk about them, they actually may be really sincere in what they're doing. They're just excited about being Muslim. They're excited with connecting with the Ummah and all these different things, but they just don't really, they might not know any better, So you just have to be careful.
Yep. And I would just say real quickly, another problem for these people is that they take their Islam from Instagram comments. So you have Jahil Muslims trying to give advice to other Jahil Muslims, and they may be a new revert, may not know much about Islam, and some person who's wayward on his religion will come and say, "Sister, this is perfectly fine. I do this too," and it's nothing wrong with that at all. But these people aren't your shuyukh, they aren't your imams, they aren't people of knowledge for you to take advice from. So it's the problem we have.
And it's funny just for like the viewers, and they usually fall for this trick of shaitan where just because someone has a lot of followers or viewers, it doesn't qualify you to give Islamic advice to people, right?
Yes.
It doesn't mean that all of a sudden you're a faqih and you can break down fiqh and all that. Like, no, it doesn't mean that. You know, we've been studying Islam for years, and we don't qualify ourselves like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna give you a ruling on XYZ. No, we just repeat the rulings that are already out there, and we just give that, you know. But it's funny, like you'll see them rise up, they'll get thousands and thousands of followers, and then those thousands of followers are asking them questions about, okay, what am I supposed to do about this XYZ situation? And where they should say, I don't know, go ask somebody who knows, they start answering these questions. And that's the real danger part.
Or Jaffer, something I've seen also as well is they will have however many thousands of followers, 100,000, however, right? They'll post a poll, right, about which is halal, which is haram, and people vote on the poll, and whoever has the most votes, they're like, yeah, this is obviously part of Islam. It's like, nah, it's not how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely that's the jahil. Be careful. You know, a lot of times shaitan will use certain things, certain people that you think are harmless to slowly draw you away from what is beneficial. So that's the jahil. Now the pretender. The pretender is a step up from the jahil, because the pretender maybe they may have some sincerity, they may not, but what they want is what they see someone else has. So they're pretending to be something that they're actually not. Now, the pretender, they probably didn't actually seek Islamic knowledge. They didn't go study, for any significant amount of time. But they can regurgitate what they heard, Sheikh so and so or this person say, and it sounds pretty spot on. They sound like someone who has some Islamic knowledge, but they don't. It's very, very superficial. They we're not saying that they are munafiq or anything like that. They're probably passionate about Islam, but they just didn't have the discipline to study. But they want to be seen as if they did. They want to be seen that way. So they could be a very gifted speaker, or maybe like they're successful in another field or something like that. Or sometimes you have a person who's a doctor, or who's an athlete, a professional, footballer or something like that, and then they start speaking about Islam.
Yeah.
But they want to be seen in that way. Sometimes you have those. And the reason why these people are dangerous is because they look and sound like, to the person who, the jahil, okay, the people who are ignorant of Islam, they don't really know. And people, in that area are maybe a little bit more knowledgeable, but they sound like they know what they're talking about. And they can imitate and pretend to be a knowledgeable sheikh or one of the ulama, or someone who seems like they studied and have been given some sort of tazkiyah or some qualifications from someone who has studied. So they look like the real thing, but they're counterfeit. It's like the bootleg, Gucci bag or something like that. They look like it, they can dress like it, they can sound like it, and they can regurgitate some very shallow things. And how they're dangerous, because just like if you think something is real and you treat it if it is there or real, but it's not, then you could be misled, or you can be hurt or injured. So you have to be careful. You'll have people that will ask these people questions when they don't know, but they can't expose themselves as being ignorant because they only have that superficial knowledge. So therefore, they will answer the question and tell someone something that's wrong. Because then, if they say they don't know, or if it becomes clear that they don't know, then the grift is up. And so they could be telling people things that are just not there. So we have to be careful with these type of people, these pretenders. They're hard to spot for the person who's initiated. But the point is that you to know, look for the person's qualifications. If they don't have any qualifications, then tread lightly and be careful.
And one of the things that some of the signs that I noticed with this group of people and it's the same signs you see with a lot of people that are pretending in other aspects, right? Um, they hijack terms, right? So like they know the lingo, and not any shot at the Salafis, but a lot of the super Salafis, they know to learn a handful of Arabic terms,
Mhm.
and they make sure that they use them in all their conversations. Like they can't speak like just a regular normal conversation. They're always saying like Yani, oh subhanallah. They'll have some dua, and then they'll have some all these terms, and you might feel like I don't know these terms, but so they'll hijack terms. They'll hijack things that'll make you think like they'll make claims. I sat with Sheikh so and so when really they just went to that Sheikh's conference and sat in the audience and listened to them. They'll always talk about like students of knowledge. I'm a student of knowledge. I'm this and that. I went here. I went there. And you see a lot of people, especially from that went to like Medina University. Most of the people actually drop out of Medina University. Attend there, but they go there for like 1 or 2 semesters. They just attend the Arabic program. Then they come back and they're like acting like they're the scholar in their community now because I went to Medina University. Well, you dropped out too, So you'll see these signs that people, and one of the things that you'll a sure sign you see someone's pretending is that when you're dealing with them or listen to their talks, listen to their khutbahs, or having conversations with them, they always bring their talking points back to the same things that they always talk about because these are the things that they are comfortable with talking about, and that it makes them appear knowledgeable about something. But then when other topics come up, you're like, wait, what does that have to do with what we're talking about? It somehow always goes back to the same source. So
Yeah. So yeah, that's with the pretender, and there's a lot of pretenders out there. But I would say the one good sign of a pretender is they will make sure to say what they allegedly are. If a person pretending to be a sheikh, he will tell you, "I'm a sheikh." If
yeah,
they're pretending to be a student of knowledge, he'll say, "I'm a student of knowledge." Or I'm one of the ulama or whatever he might be. He has to tell you. Listen, one thing that real students of knowledge, real shuyukh, real ulama, they don't ever say, "Hey, I'm a sheikh." People call them, "Hey, Sheikh so and so," but they never say, "Hey, I'm a student of knowledge." A student of knowledge is that's what he is or she is, and they don't really tell people that that's what they are because it's known. People see what they're doing and what they're into and after, and so they say, "Hey, that's that student of knowledge there." But if you hear someone saying, "I'm a student of knowledge," no, there's the likelihood of them being one of the pretenders is very high.
it's
So,
like that. The person that's always swearing by Allah. I swear by Allah, I'm not lying. I swear by Allah, yeah,
he's,
you're probably lying.
he's probably a liar. Yeah. So, this next level, the professional imam, the sheikh, the da'i, the professional. I mean, the professional, as in, this is a person who makes a profession his living. He makes his living doing this. He takes his salary, his money from the masjid, the community center. His YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or whatever channels that he gives Islamic content on. This is his livelihood. This is how he earns his money. This is what gives him his platform, what gives him that area. So the thing is about these people is a lot of times they have legit Islamic knowledge. They've studied here, they studied there, they have all the qualifications, the degrees, and the things that you would say, wow, this person is legit a sheikh. A lot of these people, they're professional. They decided to study Islam as a profession in order to make money. And yes, people do that. And yes, you can make money. And so whether they had the intention just to go study just to make money or not, that's beside the point. But this is how they make money. They're dependent on that. So, and they may give the all the services and things that an imam or a leader of a community center, Islamic center would give as far as marriage counseling and other things. And usually they're paid for it. You'll find some people to do a nikah, to officiate a nikah for people. They will charge sometimes hundreds, maybe even in the thousands. I know for sure people charge hundreds of dollars. I don't get it. I mean, I do it for free. because it takes like 5 minutes. It doesn't take that long at all. Once, sometimes it takes longer than that, but for the most part, to officiate it, especially if the people got everything together, all the ducks in a row, it doesn't take that long. But hey, I'm not, that's their hustle. Okay. But they charge hundreds of dollars to do it, to do a marriage or whatever, but they make money off of being the imam. And that's not haram. You can do it. But the issue is, this is the danger. And it's not every single one. You don't have to side eye your sheikh at the masjid when you see him, or the imam every one you see, but you have to understand that this is a very real possibility, and it's a reality. And that is, number one, if they are being paid by a masjid, a community center, whatever, that's their boss. And just like anyone else at their job, you can only say what they allow you to say and do what they allow you to do. You can support what they allow you to support, and you cannot support what they don't. So they are at risk if they go outside of what the people who pay them, the board at the masjid, the board at the Islamic center, or if it's Instagram, then it's Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or whoever that is in control of their livelihood. So if they lose their Twitter, if they lose their social media accounts, they may lose their money, and so they're not going to be able to say what they really feel or think, or what the ummah needs to hear from them, because they first have to protect their bottom line. So, or they may get fired from their job, they may lose their platforms, they may get their visa revoked, because some come here on a visa, on a work visa, to work for that masjid or Islamic center. And if they don't do what they want them to do or say, they will say, hey, this person's visa, he's not working, or he's been fired from this job. He'll get sent back home. Maybe he doesn't want to go back home. Maybe he doesn't want to take his family back home or whatever. But the point is, this person is, for all intents and purposes, going to be confined and hamstrung. He's going to be handcuffed to a certain parameter. So if you think, man, well, my sheikh didn't say anything about this, the imam at the community center didn't say anything about this, or he said something opposite to what we thought, or this other person said, well, that's because they can't. A lot of times. So the danger, the harm is that members of that community, when they need, certain religious advice or understanding or whatever, they may not be able to get it from that person, because their financial livelihood is connected to their bosses, and they won't be able to possibly give the information that is needed. So they're censored for the most part. So that's something that you have to be aware of with some of these are your favorite professional sheikh, and this is the situation that they're in.
The one that comes to mind for me when you say professional sheikh, well, actually, I'll let you get into this, because I think it's probably more this one. But when you say about the professional sheikh, and you're talking about what they can't say, and you say this all the time, when you're listening to some of these YouTube sheikhs, it's not really about what they say, but it's about what they don't say. Mm-hmm. And can you explain that a little bit to the people?
Yeah, and so it actually ties right into the celebrity sheikh, which is the celebrity sheikh is, so the professional sheikh is maybe more local, but he may be, but the celebrity sheikh is someone who's international. Like, you're gonna find this person that even non-Muslims are gonna know who they are, and even sometimes use their content, and not to pinpoint anybody in particular, but you'll know and understand once you know the celebrity sheikh is someone who is massive. Sometimes they have millions of followers, and they are able to travel cross country, across the globe. They're known everywhere, and they have usually these celebrity sheikh, even non-Muslim people in government, politics, even praise them or invite them up to speak or give dua, or to lead their processions and do different things like that. They're celebrities. And so they got that way by being accepted by as many people as possible. Like we started with the ayah where Allah said, if you follow majority of people on the earth, they will lead you astray. Well, the celebrity sheikh is able to be liked by almost everybody, because they are going to make sure that they don't say anything controversial. They're going to be a sheikh, they're going to have formal Islamic training and everything, but they're going to be loved by Muslims and non-Muslims alike. because they're not going to say anything. Everything is going to be like Joel Osteen,
Mm-hmm.
or the Muslim version of Joel Osteen, where everything is just about, and motivation and get better, and sunshine, rainbows. Anything bad that's going on, anything controversial that's going on, any sort of tough times for the ummah, the Muslims. If you see the Muslims and maybe getting harmed in somewhere, someplace, and you realize that they're not really saying anything about it, unless the majority is okay with saying certain things about it, then they will. Otherwise, they'll keep quiet. So their number one allegiance is to make sure they don't get canceled, because this is how they make money. So the professional sheikh and the celebrity sheikh, they're close, but the celebrity is at a higher level as far as their reach and their platform. They get paid big money to come and visit your masjid or your Islamic center. The next time, celebrity sheikh so-and-so comes to visit your masjid, don't think he came for free. He came, they may have paid him $20,000, $40,000, $50,000 to come. So while your masjid sinks are still running, and the bathroom that's been broken for 6 months, and they're still trying to get it fixed, well, the reason why is maybe because they had to pay $50,000 to get Sheikh so-and-so to come to do the fundraiser. So it's in about them is a lot of times you're not going to hear them say anything wrong. You're going to hear them say everything they say is right. Well, so-and-so said this. Yeah, they say everything correct. They might say everything, but the thing is what they don't say. They won't say certain things. Like, I don't want to get it. I don't want to get off into too many details, but the thing is, they're not going to, if someone says, well, the ladies are the not wearing their hijab. They know for 100% certainty that wearing hijab as a Muslim woman and covering yourself and covering your awra and dressing modestly is 100% part of Islam. And to not cover your awra or wear hijab, this is a major sin. But they won't mention that. They will mention how Islam started in the beginning of Islam for 13 years. Rasulullah just preached, Tawheed, and the ayah of hijab didn't come down, and the ayahs of outlawing alcohol or khamr didn't come down until they were in Medina and this thing. So it takes time, or they'll mention, and all that is true. But yet they might leave out the fact that when Allah said that He completed the religion of Al-Islam for us, that it's complete. And now we have to practice the complete Al-Islam, So this is some things. I'm sure there's plenty of other things that we can get into. I just don't want to take too much time, but you understand, they're not going to be able to say everything.
Real quick, have you heard, like, I've noticed this, I wonder if you noticed it as well. They do a lot of sandwiching. So whenever they do talk about something that maybe the people don't want to hear, like, for instance, like hijab, they'll put like something that'll make the non-hijabi feel good at the beginning, then say you're supposed to wear your hijab, then say something good again at the end, like, but we know everybody's struggling and you can't judge a person and all that. That way, no matter what, the person still feels good about whatever it is but misses the whole message that they're supposed to get.
Exactly. Yeah. They use lots of tricks and sleight of hand, and they will avoid so many things. It's just like, for instance, I have heard the hadith of when Aisha radiallahu anha broke the plate. Right? One of Rasulullah, some other wives, brought the plate and sent him a plate of food on her day, and she was upset, so she broke the plate. I've heard that so many times when saying how men should be very patient and soft, and in overlook when their wives get upset or do something wrong or whatever. And this is correct. Rasulullah did not get upset. She slammed the plate. He just got it and replaced the plate for the other wife, and kept on carrying on. He didn't do anything. But they almost will never even mention the fact that at one point in time, Rasulullah was going to, or he was seriously contemplating on divorcing all of his wives all at the same time in one go, because of what they were, he wasn't happy with some of the things that they were, with the situation. So the thing is, that's part of it too. That it's not just, one side, and some of those things are not mentioned because if you say that, well, that crowd full of ladies that you're catering to, that crowd full of ladies who you've arranged this ladies conference for, who are all sitting in the front row, and then you take pictures with them afterwards and all that thing, they're not gonna like that hadith that much. They're not gonna jive with that. They're not gonna particularly like that one. So we mention, the ones that fit with what they like, and ignore the other ones. But they do that with lots of different things. They will, like I said, we can go into a lot of things that they do, but the point is you have to be careful, because they will not be able, they're going to stay away from any sort of controversy whatsoever. So a lot of things that you need to know, and they could do a lot of good for the ummah by telling people the hard truth. And some things are bitter, but they won't do it because they won't be liked. And if they're not liked, they won't make as much money. And if they can't make as much money, well, they might have to find another profession. So that's the thing.
Yep.
So then the next one is the deviant scholar. Now, this is just a person who's just all out deviant. Sometimes they're Orientalists, okay? That Orientalists are people who are not Muslim. They just come and learn Islam to try to defeat or try to harm the Muslims from within. It's a munafiqeen, but Orientalists is what they decided to do. They just were sent into the Islamic world, or became Muslim. And we had one. It wasn't a scholar, but I'll just mention this real quick. How it was a Jewish guy. Sorry, I mean, hey, are you surprised? But the thing is, it was a Jewish guy who he came to one of the masajid here in my city or whatever, and he said, "Oh yeah, I'm wanted to become Muslim." He's a white guy or whatever. So, of course, the Muslims say, oh, a white dude wants to become Muslim. They gave him all sorts of preferential treatment, put him up in front of people, had him speaking, doing all this, but and he was, and he kind of acted like he learned, something about Islam. So he was given, like speaking in front of the people and everything. A couple weeks later, it's like I wasn't even Muslim, and clowned them all and basically, embarrassed them. Like, yeah, I was pretending or whatever. Which I mean, like it. I mean that.
Wow.
But hey, listen, if you got the complexion for the protection, the Muslims will fall for it. But back to the deviant scholar. Okay, so the deviant scholar, a lot of times they're going to be able to sound like the regular scholar, because they're going to be formally educated. They're going to have the degrees and all those things sometimes. But you will find them that their fatwa are obscure, and they go against what has been agreed upon for centuries, since the time of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. They will have fatwa that, drinking alcohol is not haram. It's not haram. Or interest is okay too. You don't have to get married, or there's no such thing as polygyny in Islam. A Muslim, that's abrogated. We don't say qul anymore for the Quran. That should be taken out, because when Allah was saying qul, he was talking to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, but now he's not talking to us. So it should just be, instead of qul huwallahu ahad, it should be Allahu ahad, and things like that. So you will find these deviant, and their goal is just to misguide and cause confusion and harm the ummah from within. And so you have a lot of these, and I don't want to name any of them right now, but the point is, if there is a person who has all the qualifications, and you find them to be to have all the things that you would say, wow, this person is one of the ulama, he's got all the qualifications. Two things you will find. You will find them going against the majority of the ulama, past and present, in certain things. And you will find the non-Muslim governments and people like that liking them. You will find them liking them. So they'll say, oh yeah, well, as far as they will reference, you will find them referencing these type of deviant scholars in their works, or have them on their networks. Like, say for instance, the Muslims, an alleged Muslim does something wrong somewhere. They will bring a deviant scholar on to then bash Islam, but at the same time be pretending to be a Muslim. So these type of deviant scholars, I'm not gonna say any names, but this is one of the things that you have to look out for as well.
And real quick, I'll say like, and also don't get misled by the word scholar, because it's also like politicians, maybe actors, comedians. Like these are people that they're putting them up on the screen to represent Islam. And then all the lay people that don't know anything, like, oh, this comedian said it's okay to do this, so yeah, it's okay to do this. Like, so that it's just not people being scholars,
Exactly. And the sincere scholar, of course, as we mentioned in the beginning, only Allah knows who is surely rightly guided and who's astray. Like we can see certain people that are astray, but we don't know how they'll end up. And the number one thing is the sincerity is in the heart, and it's something that only Allah will know. Allah will know the sincerity. So when we say the sincere one, it's not like we're not saying that we know their sheikh for sure it's sincere, but there's indications, and we at the end of the day we say Allah knows best. But they're going to have legit Islamic knowledge, all the qualifications and things that you would think. They're going to say some things that are the truth about Islamic issues, whether the people, whether it fits with the modern society or not. They're not going to shy away from it. They don't care about being canceled. Usually they do get canceled. They get kicked off of social media many times, or maybe they're banned. They get banned from traveling. They usually don't have a lot of followers. You're not gonna find these people with a lot of followers or high level production content and stuff like that. Now you might, but for the most part, this doesn't really happen because they get banned off content so much. And a lot of things about Islam is, as Allah, as Rasulullah says, this world is a prison for the Muslim, for the mu'min, for the believer, and it's a Jannah for the non-Muslims. So the people, the kafir, it's a Jannah for them. So a lot of things about Islam is not going to be things that are going to fit with the desires of the masses. And as we said, if you follow the majority of people, they'll lead you astray. And so I have a rule as far as shuyukh that I am going to trust over myself. Like I'll take some knowledge of information, but I'm going to verify it. But if I'm going to trust them more than I would trust my understanding of something, they're going to have been to jail. They're going to have been jailed by either some governments, Islamic countries or Western countries or whatever. They have to have gone through some real fitna and still be on the truth. And I'm not saying that automatically makes them right, but that's just for me. What I have seen is the people who have stuck as close to the Quran and Sunnah, regardless of the situation, regardless of the type of issues that come up, issues of jihad, issues of marriage, issues of social issues or financial issues or whatever the things, because in the West the riba issue is big, and so a lot of people find ways around it or through it, or just try to ignore it. Even the people who have stuck to the Islamic text and really stuck with what was well known to be the Quran and the Sunnah and how the Salaf al-Salih understood it, and they were harmed for that. They were put in jail for that. They were, some of them were killed for that. So those are the people that I put in the highest rank as far as, okay, their words and actions mean something as far as them. It looks as if they could not be bought. They couldn't be threatened. They couldn't be harmed to a point where they gave up the truth and decided to allow the falsehood to go. It's the same way with Imam Ahmed, may Allah be pleased with him, who was attacked and beaten and threatened and all these things, but he still stood to his guns, stood to the truth, and he's one of the reasons why, alhamdulillah, that Islam has been preserved today. So that's the standard that I hold my shuyukh to. So, and Allah knows best.
Absolutely. There was a shuyukh here in Virginia. He passed away, rahimahullah. And I remember Sheikh Nordian's his name. He used to come to Richmond, and they like the idea of him having, he's this like elder shuyukh. He's white, right? So he has a good story, but he's also really knowledgeable, right? And so he would come there, in one Jummah, he was talking about how, being Muslim, owning a gas station, selling alcohol, right, and then and then using these funds for Muslim means, right. The Pakistanis had a fit. They they came to him mid-speech, gave him a note, told him to get up stage. Well, like, go ahead and cut his shirt off because you're not going to consider it slander us about having our alcohol in gas stations. So they banned him from Masjid. So.
And I'll just say, like, I forgot to mention, like, with some of the professional imams and sheikhs or whatever, there's been some that have told me straight away that they have, like, the board or their bosses will take their khutbah, read it beforehand, take a highlighter. You can say this, you can't say that. Take this out, put this in, or whatever. They will have to, and these people don't know anything about Islam. They don't want you to mention interest. They don't want you to mention jihad. They don't want you to mention polygyny. They don't want you to mention certain things, and it's off limits. Even some have been basically ripped down off the member, or as soon as the salah is over, it's like you're fired.
Get out of here, yeah.
As soon as so alhamdulillah, just be careful and look out for this thing. The best defense against falling victim to any of these categories, the deviant or the problematic things within these categories, is to educate yourself as much as possible. The more you know, the more you will not have to be dependent or reliant on anything that these people are saying. So Allah help us.
And this whole topic ties into really attaching yourself to the Quran and Sunnah, to Allah and Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and not to like personalities. And knowing that even if I obtain good from somebody, whether they be a celebrity sheikh, a professional imam, sincere person, that your deen is not dependent on them, right? Because that gets into the whole cult mentality where you think, okay, this person represents the deen for me. This person represents Islam. And we're trying to pull people away from that. Most of our viewers that are tuning to this, you're trying to, whether it's yourself, your friends, family, whatever, you're trying to pull people towards the path of truth, right? To the correct version of Islam. And what's happening and what we're seeing happening on a day-to-day basis is that people are on this mission. They're on this path to go to the goal of getting to the Quran and Sunnah, to the straight path, away from falsehood. And there's so many different stories and representatives of this idea. Like, for instance, in, I think it's Greek mythology, you have the idea of these sirens, right? Where it's these beautiful ladies that are on an island and they sing these beautiful enchanting songs to the sailors that are on a mission. They have a goal. They're trying to get somewhere, right? But like, what is that beautiful sound? Oh my gosh, look at those beautiful ladies over there. They're calling me. Like, it's okay if I stop over here. And what do? They provide them with comfort. They provide them with ease. They provide them with good company. They provide them with everything that they're looking for, right? Thinking like, okay, it's okay if I stop here. But meanwhile, they're in danger, right? They're actually in probably more danger than they were at the place because they left, but now they're stuck and they're never actually going to get to their goal. Because what sirens do, these beautiful ladies aren't actually ladies at all. They're actually creatures. They're actually demons that actually eat the sailors. And there's so many different stories in different cultures. Like even our American story of the tortoise and the hare is a representation of that. Like the hare should have been won the race, but he kept stopping, going for comfort, taking a nap. I'm okay. I'm cool. Right. And the problem is that we talk about this idea of people being fence riders, right? People that leave cults, they're leaving the cult, but then they stop. They stop dead in the middle, and they don't want to upset anybody. And it's kind of related to like the type of celebrity, or not celebrity, but the type of speakers Mubarak talked about, where they have a following. We call it a following. You can call it a network. You can call it relationships. They have something that they actually don't want to give up to actually reach the truth. And it's this place of comfort. I'm comfortable with these relationships. And people are calling people backwards, right? No, come back here with me. where I'm comfortable at, because I want more people here where I'm at. And that's the fence. I called it the swamp. Like, you're actually stuck. You're stuck in a place where you're actually, the more you do things, you're gonna sink even further, right? And it's really upsetting, because in the work that we're trying to do, and the work that alhamdulillah Allah's allowed us to be engaged with, and all we gotta say is alhamdulillah that we're in this position to be able to try to give dawah and try to give blessings for it. And that's really the only reason we do it. And the secondary reason we do it is because we want to help people. We want people to, make it to Jannah. We want people to follow the Quran and the Sunnah. And then when we see people who are supposed to be on this path with us, helping people get away from the falsehood of this cult life, the shirk, first and foremost, the bid'ah, secondly, and the corruption, the transgression, the oppression. And instead of coming on this side of the fence with us and saying, hey, come away from the danger, they're telling people, no, come back, come to me, come to where I'm at. And we've kind of addressed this individual multiple times without saying his name, in hopes that he might get the message. But it's at the point where it's like, okay, we have to mention this individual by name, because now he's hurting. It's actually a danger to people that are trying to move to the truth. And his brother Hanif J. Williams, as he goes by, HJW, everybody knows who he is. He used to be with our group, R2F. He was one of the original people that was a part of it. He's left our group and came back to our group. I don't even know how many times, things, but that's not the point of why we're here. He recently released a message, if Amr could pull it up.
Yes, give me 1 second.
He released a message, and I believe this is the second or third time that he has publicly disassociated himself from R2F, which it's fine. We don't do this to have people that claim to be associated with us or to claim ties with us or anything like that. If you could zoom in a little bit for people to see.
Yeah.
Does it allow you to do it or no?
Hold on, let me put it in a Word document.
So again, we don't do this. We started this with the hopes of trying to guide one person. Most people have left. More people have left than are still with us. And alhamdulillah, we have, some people that have stuck with us from the very beginning and are still trying and still working as much as we can to help guide people away from the cult of, Tmoa. However, Hanif, and this is not the first time, he's one of these people that are calling people back towards the direction of falsehood, right? He's calling people back, and we say this all the time. We have people that are trying to pretty much appease the cult members, while at the same time enjoying the benefits of, I'm not actually part of the cult. But mentally, spiritually, emotionally, they actually still are part of the cult. And Allah knows best what's in their heart. We talked about sincerity. We don't know what's in their heart. But the apparent actions would show that, you actually still want to be a part of that. That's the only reason why you would hang on to it. So, you can go to the message real quick.
I have right.
Yeah.
All right. Assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillah. Many of us have relatives, both immediate family and extended, who are part of Tmoa, as we call them. This is our shared experience, whether you are a part of Tmoa or not, voluntarily or involuntarily. Unfortunately, we are now facing two groups of extreme individuals. These individuals do not represent the majority on either side of this unfortunate reality, which includes the separation of communities, families, and lifelong friendships. One very small group has recently advised Muslims to not attend the janazah of their own believing Muslim family members. Another small group, associated with certain administrators, have become notorious by actively preventing Muslims from attending janazahs, which has now spanned over 2 decades. Both groups and their actions are wrong, and preventing or advising against janazah attendance is a major sin. The only way to resolve this fitna is to return to authentic sunnah. Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, It is not permissible for any Muslim who has something to do, something to will to delay it without having their last will and testament written and kept ready. Sahih Bukhari Hadith 2738. We have prepared a template for you for your use. We encourage you to complete it and share with your family, especially those who might discourage or prevent others from attending your janazah, which can harm your hereafter. May Allah soften our hearts, grant us a good ending, and bless us with Jannah Firdaus. The slave of Allah, Hanif J. Williams.
Okay, so just a little context. We released a video about attending cult members' janazas or funerals. And everything we said in there, it was me who released the video, but everything else said in the video was supported with Quran and Sunnah, right? And this individual and others, of course, disagreed with it, right? And then afterward, this individual, Hanif called me and at like that night and asked me to take the video down because of multiple reasons. The first reason he gave, he said it was bad timing because that day, Monday, there was a janazah of what's his name?
Wadud, yeah.
Wadud, right? He's not a doctor. Wadud. he passed away and he had his janazah on Monday. He's a cult member. He was a cult leader. Heavily on the Jews for all I know. Maybe other people know differently. But he had a janazah on Monday. It just happened to be that we released a video on Monday. We don't keep track of Tmoa janazas or anything. But, I mean, I know my personal opinion would have been to release a video anyway because of the benefit that people would have had. And actually, knowing what actually happened at the janazah, if people would actually followed the advice of the video, they could have avoided all the drama that actually happened at the janazah. But I think we need to go through this line by line just so people can be aware of just the example in this message of what they need to be aware of. Because we kind of touched on it. We talked about the speakers, because he does some of these things in here that some of these type of speakers do, and the points where he's actually totally wrong about.
Absolutely. I need to ISO real quick on the very first line where Hadith mentions about how many of us have relatives, both immediate family, extended, who are part of Tmoa. Now, we have been doing this dawah for over 5 years at this point in time. Hanif, you have been out of the Jamaat for a long time as well. You spent your time to go study under Sheikh Al-Khasha and various other sheikhs. And really what it feels like to me, especially for people who are out of the Jamaat, technically, fence fighters, is the death of these old heads feels like guilt to them because they haven't done enough to get them off the juice. And it's going to like, dang, like this person, you know that they're upon falsehood. Wadud was one of our biggest antagonists, who was all pro-Jilani this, all pro-Jilani this, 7 times this, and we can't all of a sudden act like the transgressions upon the law and are just like nullified because he died. No, when he was alive and a parent, yes, they believed in 9 gods. We're not going to act like the 7 Sultan of Fuqra wasn't a thing. And so for people, right, you can't have the excuse of, oh, you know, I don't want to be too harsh on them and stop them from getting to where they need to go, stop them from coming back to proper Islam, because this is all that they knew, all that they know. Their old heads were stubborn. Listen, my parents were some of the people who bought pictures, all right, okay, early on to make the Kool-Aid. They helped make the Kool-Aid. They stirred it up. They gave us the Kool-Aid as kids, right? Mm-hmm. And even through all that, I was the first person in my family out the Jamaat, right? And my parents are well-known, established members of the community. Was I going to be very laissez-faire and soft with them about, oh, you know, this person, these beliefs? It's like, it's kind of bad. It's like, I mean, it could be better stuff, but like, you can't be soft on this approach. You can't try to be in the middle path between the 9 gods that they worship and your one God of the law. It's not okay. How about we just do 4.5 gods? Yeah. So this is not. I wasn't going to, because my parents have been old my whole life, right? I wasn't going to, because as you get older, listen, you get closer to going back to Allah. I couldn't sit with myself, live with myself. If I said, I know for a fact that these beliefs are falsehood, I'm going to let my parents, my family, stay upon this falsehood while I'm alive. I don't care how mean I sounded. I don't care how harsh I may have been with my tone verbiage. The end of the day is my parents knew. On a shout out, Amr does not believe in anything involving Jelani. He wouldn't let us say Jelani or Himhullah, none of that stuff. He wouldn't let us fantasize about the old times. No. So you people, right, who are on the fence or off the mind, why are you worried about these people who are upon falsehood? It's because you love them. I get that. So do your best while they're still alive, right? Because hey, by all accounts, you all have left this falsehood beliefs, right? You know they're false. That's the reason why you left. It wasn't just because, No, make sure, especially for old heads, make sure you love them so much. Get them off the juice. Get them out of these shirk bid'ah beliefs. So that way you can say, alhamdulillah, will they pass away? Yes, I can safely attend their funeral, right? I can know in my heart of hearts, inshallah, they'll be going to Jannah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I just for the people who may be watching or will watch this that don't understand why this issue is the way it is, as far as janazas and going or not, and why it's even an issue, is because the issue is the beliefs of the Tmoan group, the Aqidah, of what, as far as is documented as what they allegedly believe to be part of the group. Now, we're not talking about each individual, what they believe, what they understand about it or whatever, but as far as the Tmoa is concerned, they believe that their sheikh, the one who came, Mubarak Jelani, 40 years ago, is part of Allah. This is the belief. To be in this group, you believe that a man is one of 7 sultans. That's what they call them. And these people are part of Allah. They're sparks of Allah's nur, and it's in their documents. It's okay to call them Allah. And so, as any Muslim knows, that this is kufr. If you believe that Allah is more than one, then you are not a Muslim. Okay? So the people who believe this, and the person who died recently, and many others, they have not only talked about how they believe in the sultans and these concepts, but they defend it. And as far as we know, they died on that same belief. So this is documented. This is documented that this person and many others believe this. So we know as Muslims that this belief, to believe that anyone has the attributes of Allah, even some of these people call on him when they're in trouble and in fights and different things, they call on this person, not that he's around the corner in another room, he's across the world, but they call on him min dunillah, besides Allah. So this is why the people who have been very clear about their belief in the 7 sultans and about Mubarak Jelani and him having the attributes that are exclusively for Allah, that they have exited Islam, because these beliefs are not compatible with the Shahada, with being Muslim. And so that's why you have the issue here where people want to go to their janazah. Muslims want to go to a janazah of a person who, by his own admission, believes something that's not part of Islam. He believes in a different religion. And anyone who believes Mubarak Jelani has the attributes of Allah, anyone who believes that one of the 7 sultans, any of them, are part of Allah, were created from Allah, then they are not Muslim either. So this is their beliefs, and that's why the issue is here. And I'll just say one more thing, and I'll let you go, Sheikh Jafar. But if we understand going forward, we know their beliefs. We've stated those clearly for those people who don't know. We will just mention the one ayah in which Allah says, and this is in Surah Mumtahina, that about Ibrahim. قَدْ كَانَتْ لَكُمْ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ فِي إِبْرَاهِيمَ وَالَّذِينَ مَعَهُ, and those with him, إِذْ قَالُوا لِقَوْمِهِمْ إِنَّا بُرَآءَكُمْ إنا براء منكم ومما تعبدون من دون الله كفرنا بكم وبدا بيننا وبينكم العداوة والبغضاء أبدا حتى تؤمنوا بالله وحده. Right? So Allah says in the ayah that has already been an excellent pattern in Ibrahim for those with him when they said to their people. Now this is Allah. This is what Allah is telling us. This is an example for us. When they said to their people, indeed we are disassociated from you and whatever you worship other than Allah. We have denied you, and there has appeared between us and you animosity and hatred forever until you believe in Allah alone. So they believe that Allah is at least 7 sultans and Allah, who has from him created from himself, and they are part of Allah, spark of Allah who broke off and became these 7 people, and they were born before creation, and they were created in all these other things. There's lots of shirk and bid'ah, innovation, pure kufr in these beliefs. And when this is explained to them and they still double down on it, and they still say, hey, if Mubarak Jalani said it, I believe it, then their religion is Jalani. Their religion is him. And let them get their reward from him. Let them be let them get whatever he gets. But as far as the Muslims are concerned, we follow Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And this, as Allah said in this ayah, until they believe in Allah alone, singular, wahdahu, in his oneness. Allah alone, that's it. So that is the issue. That's where between us and them is the issue. And it's only there because of the kufr that's involved. And if it goes away, any sort of separation will go away. But to want to attend the janazah of a person who clearly has said they believe something other than what Allah is saying here, then that's where the issue is. So I hope we can understand. From there, you can go ahead, Sheikh.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to get more context of like what, as far as our Muslim rights and attending funerals, whether they be non-Muslims, Muslims, innovator Muslims, you can go watch our videos on our channel. The proofs are there, the explanations are there. Just go watch it. And remember, we are Muslim, so we have to try our best, no matter what our emotions are, no matter what our feelings are, to do what is going to be most pleasing to Allah and Rasul, to Allah. And it will using the example of Rasulullah. Okay, so we give the advice. That's all we're doing. We're trying to advise people that is going to put them in the best situation based on the Quran and the Sunnah. So, and I just want to point out that this message, he starts off with obviously invoking people's emotions, and this is what people do, right? We all have friends and family, and we're an extended family who are part of TMOA, and we'll get to more of it, but pay attention as we go through this message. And as someone who, and we talked about this just in the previous segment, right? One of the tricks, and this is a trick that cult leaders do. This is a trick that the pretender scholars do, is they constantly make reference to something, right? I'm on the path of the Salaf. I'm on the path of the Salaf. I follow the Quran and Sunnah. I follow the Quran and Sunnah. And you hear these people say this, but then when they actually start saying something, they actually don't base it on what they say that they're upon. And just pay attention to how many times an ayat or hadith are mentioned in this message. And the answer will become very apparent once if you listen to the first time we read it and once we get to the end. So you can go ahead, Amr.
Okay. This is our shared experience, whether you are part of Tmoa or not, voluntarily or involuntarily. Okay. Unfortunately, we are now facing 2 groups of extreme individuals.
Okay, hold up 1 second. Let's go back to that sentence. This is our shared experience. So this is like a love bomb, this is our shared experience, whether you are part of TMOA or not, voluntary or involuntarily. As if it's like just involuntary, as if it's like, whether you're stuck at the DMV, whether they had to delay the lady who was at the counter went to lunch or not. So as it's just simply involuntary or involuntarily. involuntarily would be people who are afraid that they are going to be harmed physically, which has been done, financially, which has been done, socially, which has been done, their life being threatened, which has been done, for being in opposition to the cult. So they stay in involuntarily. That's what that means. It's not something that you can gloss over. Our shared experience. That's not something that they would. It's our shared experience as this is something positive or even neutral. There's nothing positive or neutral about this being a shared experience. The experience is either you're involved in shirk or you're being oppressed by people involved in shirk. That's it. So there's no positive thing you can draw from this being our shared experience. What is it? Oh, because we have family members. We mentioned the ayah and what Ibrahim and those with him said to their people. It's just a matter of, at the end of the day, Allah says we're going to be raised alone. Fardan. You're going to be raised alone. You're going to be questioned alone. And you're going to be either thrown into Jahannam or admitted into Jannah alone on your own merits. It's not going to be because you borrowed some actions or deeds of another person, or because you were part of a Tmoa group or not. So that's a trick. And see, that this is the thing. It sounds nice. This is our shared experience, whether you're part of TMOA or not. We don't share anything. We don't share the same beliefs. We don't share the same religion. If you believe that Mubarak Jelani is part of Allah, we don't have the same religion. If you believe in the 7 sultans, we don't share anything. So there's not a shared experience.
It's funny how this individual disassociated himself from us. And I just talks about how Ibrahim said, I disassociate myself from y'all who are engaged in shirk. And then like you just mentioned, this sentence says, like, it's basically, remember, it's funny how Allah had it timed out that your talk on these different types of speakers, they're saying things they want to grab the most people in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what does this sentence do? I want a sentence that's going to attract the most people to this message. So whether you are part of TMOA or not, so I want the people in TMOA and the people not in TMOA, voluntary or involuntary. So I want people that are stuck in TMOA that don't want to be there, and the people that were kicked out that don't want to be there. I want everybody to come listen to me and be a part of this with me.
And so what's the smallest group? The smallest group is actually the people who, under no circumstances, will compromise anything regarding their religion in the context of the Tmoan ideology, their people. If someone comes face to face with me in that group, they're already going to know. They're not going to have any sort of, or any of us, not just me, but if they see Jafar or Ammar or any of us, they're going to automatically know exactly where we stand. And we're not going to be violent or anything like that. We even give them salams or whatever. It's not like, but the thing is, there's not going to be any ambiguity about what we believe ourselves and what we believe about your beliefs.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be able to get away if we come face to face without me reminding you about it, without me addressing it with you. Why? Because we want people to make sure to help to guide people. And we don't want what is very clear, what Allah says he does to people who believe or who make partners with Allah, who believe that Allah is more than one. This is clear.
Imagine one of these, imagine like one of these TMOA believers, right? Somebody who's on the juice, just for some random reason contacts one of us to ask us, like, what's the ruling on making Taimun? And I'm going to be like, well, forget about that. What about the shirk? Forget about the Taimun. What about the shirk you believe in? Like, that's what the conversation is going to go back to. I'm not going to talk about a Taimun when you're actively involved in shirk, right? Let's have the bigger conversation. And just like Mubarak said, it's what these people aren't talking about. And this individual like Hanif, like, there's so many examples over the years, and other people, he's not the only one. There's other people like him. They say these ambiguous statements so that people can say, okay, no, he's still with us. or he's not that bad.
Mhm.
And people do this all the time, especially with first it was me by myself when I before we had R2F, but then people now use R2F as a way like, okay, look, I'm not as bad as those guys,
R2F, yeah.
right?
Yeah, the
Except
boogeyman.
me, I'm not as bad as them,
Mhm.
right? And this is exactly what he's doing again. He's done it all throughout the years. Is look, those are the bad guys. Come listen to me, and I'm the cool guy. I'm not as bad
And
as them, right?
and the
I was in real quick. I was in a white school, right? Predominantly white, Caucasian. Before the Muslims came, like we were the only black family there, right? And this is what the white people would do because they hated the Muslims that came from the city. They were beating them up, taking their girls, right? They hated them. So I still had friends. Like I grew up with these white people in the town. Some of them would come to me and be like, "Yeah, we like you, Jimmy. You're not like the other guys." And I'd be like, "Yeah, I am like the other guys. What the hell are you talking about? I am like the other guys. What are you saying?" But that was their way of like, I'm still cool with you. You're the cool guy. You're the cool black guy, not the Muslim.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's unfortunate because this is one thing they do. They appeal to people's desires. Most people would not choose to go the hard road the way that we went. To where it's not glamorous. It's not like there's nothing that feels good about. I would say honestly, I feel good, but I can understand. Sometimes friends of mine that I had from for years that are caught up in this mess that by their choice they don't deal with me anymore because they want to believe what they want to believe, and that's okay. But we're not never gonna be friends. So it is hard for a lot of people to accept, and a lot of people they want to ignore the shirk that they believe in, the kufr that they believe in. They want to ignore it and just be friends and socialize and interact with them. And so people like this, it's like a drug to those people. The people who they know the truth, but they want to follow their desires. Like I mentioned before, it's like a person who has an alcohol addiction or something. A lot of these people who were part of the cult or were on the juice in the community that have left because they realize it's the right thing to do, but they still miss, the interactions and the camaraderie or whatever. And they want that. And so messages like this tell them, you know what? It's okay. It's okay to be involved in this shirk or whatever. It's okay to for them. And so what does it not only tell the person who doesn't believe in it, okay, the person who does not believe in it but still wants to turn a blind eye to it? That's bad in and of itself. But this message also tells the person who does believe in it, it reinforces that belief. And it is okay because they're okay with me.
Yeah.
This whole message tells the people in TMOA that what we're doing is fine. This is just about a janaza. It's just about, whether you come or not, So it's about blocking people or not, it's not.
Yeah.
The real issue is hidden in this message. And it's distracted in this message. There's poison in this message, which makes the people who are weak, who are on the fence, it makes them slide back onto the wrong side of things. The people who are on the wrong side of things, it strengthens them, and it tries to drive a wedge and tries to drown out the voices of the people who are saying actually what is correct about the whole thing and not leaving anything out.
Yeah.
Okay. One very small group has recently advised Muslims not to attend the janazah of their own believing Muslim family members. All right, stop, pause.
Oh, we skipped the line though.
Sorry, sorry. These individuals. This one. Yeah.
Said, unfortunately, we're now facing two groups of extreme individuals.
Oh.
So
I forgot. I totally lost over that. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I mean, are we extreme? I mean, was that the ayah that we mentioned earlier about Ibrahim and how he dealt with the people who were believing in shirk and engaging in it? Was that extreme? Are we calling Allah extreme? Are we calling the messengers extreme? Are we saying Islam is extreme? So who's extreme?
It's crazy. So one of the issues that he brought up with me when he called me was there's a quote from Imam Ahmed, rahimahullah, who when he was asked about attending a janazah of one of the innovators during his time. He said, between them and he said, tell the people. It wasn't like he just told, he said, tell the people, between us and them are the funerals, are the janazahs, meaning we do not attend their funerals. And just to give a little bit more context, because you said I misused it and it doesn't apply or whatever. During the time of Imam Ahmed, the Mu'tazila were very popular. They actually gained power and influence over the government at the time. We talked earlier in the show about how Imam Ahmed was locked up and beaten and abused and all that. It was because of the Mu'tazila. They wanted him to say that the Quran was created. That's one of the Mu'tazila beliefs. They wanted him to say the Quran was created. And he refused. Of course, this is Imam Ahmed, right? The individual that was the judge that was torturing him and trying to get him to say it, he passed away. So he was talking about the Mu'tazila when he said we don't attend their funerals. Now get this. We just talked about Tmoa and their beliefs, and anybody that actually believes in this, doubles down on it, defends it and all that, about there being parts of God coming on earth and being in sultans, that's clear shirk, that's clear kufr. Now the Mu'tazila, they believe that the Quran was created, and they also denied destiny, predestination. Now, when we're talking about them as far as like whether they left the fold of Islam or not, there's actually legit difference of opinion, ikhtilaf, amongst the scholars of whether the Mu'tazila are actually Muslim or not, right? So some say like, yes, they're Muslim, but they're going to hell because the hadith says if you innovate, you're going to hell, but they'll eventually get out like all Muslims do, right? And there's others that say that no, they left the fold of Islam. The point being is, you have a group of innovators that are possibly still considered Muslim. And Imam Ahmed said, don't go to their funerals. This analogy applies perfectly to Tmoa, because even if you have a question of what we're saying about their beliefs, take them outside the fold of Islam, you know for a fact that at least it's an innovative belief. And you have Imam Ahmed saying, do not attend their funerals. You have the hadith from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam who said the Qadariya, the Mu'tazila actually came from the Qadariya, because the Qadariya are the first ones that actually had the belief that they denied Qadr, denied divine destiny, right? The Mu'tazila spawned off of them. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, don't attend their funerals. He didn't say they were kafirs, don't attend their funerals, because Muslims already know we can't attend the funerals of kafirs. He's speaking about the Qadariya. Don't visit them when they're sick. Don't go to their funerals. So, like Mubarak said, are we the extreme ones? And if you're saying two extremes, right? If there's two extremes, let me tell you the extreme here. You have the one side, he talks about it a little bit. You have the one side in Tmoa, and it's not the minority in Tmoa, right? Well, maybe they are the minority numbers wise, but they're the strength, right? Saying we don't want these people coming to our lands and attending funerals. If you don't believe in what we believe, you're not allowed to attend. We're going to kick you out and prevent you from coming to our lands for janazas, right? They're saying you can't go. We put out a video saying you shouldn't go, right? Then you have this person, Hanif, saying you got to go. What's the opposite of can't? You gotta.
You must. Yeah.
Oh, actually, Hanif, you're actually the other extreme on this. We are actually the middle, saying you shouldn't go because they're innovators, because they're possibly kufr, and the other reasons of, for instance, that it's a funeral. The whole point of a funeral really is to get the person in the ground, not to have drama, not to have fights, not to have arguments, not to have people stranded on the road with bodies, figuring out what you're going to do with them. You want to put the person in the ground. Excuse me. It's respectful to them. It's respectful to the family. Now, how selfish could you be that just because you want to be part of the loop, that you're gonna imagine me, one of my old someone I'm close with passes away from Tmoa, someone I used to be close with, And I put myself so excuse me, my throat is messed up. I put myself so selfishly that I'm gonna show up to the funeral, knowing damn well what's gonna happen at that funeral. People's gonna try to fight me. They're gonna try to kick me out. Why would I disrupt that family's funeral for what? So I could displease Allah? What? Make it make sense. Make it make sense.
It doesn't.
Absolutely does not make sense. These individuals do not represent the majority on either side of this unfortunate reality, which includes the separation of communities, families, and lifelong friends.
So, in that sentence, like I said, we gave the ayah that we quoted in the beginning of the show. That Allah says that if you obey most of the people on the earth, they will lead you astray from the path of Allah. So, when he's saying that, I'm sorry, this is a majority. I lost track of what
each
they
side of this reality, which includes separation of communities, families, and lifelong friends.
Lifelong friendships, yeah. So these do not represent the majority. That's irrelevant. Actually, the people who are rightly guided, for the most part, are going to be the majority. I'm the minority. I'm sorry. They're not going to be the majority. The majority of people, most of the people on the earth, are misguided. That's most of the people. And most of the people on the earth are going to go to Jahannam. So there's not any sort of positive about just because you're with the majority. Now, if you're with the majority of the people who have the correct beliefs or something like that, I can see. But the majority of people in this instance, you have the people, the group is made up of, when you say the group, just the people who are some way either talking about or connected or inside of this group or whatever, dealing with the janazah stuff. So when you say the majority on either side of this unfortunate reality, these individuals do not represent the majority. The Muslims don't represent the majority. The people who are rightly guided don't represent the majority. That's not relevant. What is relevant is who is dealing with the Quran, the Sunnah, and the correct beliefs according to Islam. If we just deal with the majority of that, then maybe you have a legit claim about the majority mattering, right? You have a group of people who are dealing with the Quran and the Sunnah, and they use the Quran and the Sunnah to decide on an issue or to come to the conclusion on an issue. Then the majority of those people adhering to the Quran and the Sunnah, then you say that, well, the majority of people go with this. Then the majority matters. But when you say the majority and the majority is mixed with a bunch of people who are clearly astray, then whether they are, the majority of the people who are astray, it doesn't matter. If you just grab a handful of people walking the earth, the majority of them are going to be astray. This is what is evident in the ayahs that Allah has revealed to us, and is evidence in the Sunnah when Rasulullah said that 999 out of 1,000 people will go to Jahannam. So the majority is not relevant.
Absolutely, and I feel like for Hanif, because he's someone who does his best. I'll give credit for it. He tries to get back to the Quran and Sunnah, right? And so he has people who are more knowledgeable than him that he can go ask for advice, right? And oftentimes Hanif will mention about, he doesn't exist inside of the echo chamber where people just, say the same things back to him that he just wants to hear and agree with. But like the thing is, okay, that could be true, but are you taking the advice from those who disagree with you? Are you actually contemplating on what they have to say to you in a juxtaposed their position? And listen, you have all these teachers that you can learn from. Go give them the details of the situation. Say, hey, these people here believe X, Y, and Z, right? Should I advise people to go attend their funerals? And let us know what the result is of that. I would love to hear from Omar Slayman, whoever the hell else, about what the ruling is on going to attend the funeral of someone who believes in 7 gods.
The thing is this stuff. This stuff, you'll rarely hear us commenting on stuff that isn't clear. This information is so easily accessible. One, we don't attend innovator funerals. We don't, unless you have to, unless you're a family member that has to bury the person. We're not even supposed to associate and hang out and mingle with innovators. You'll see so many quotes from the Salaf like, yeah, don't let them eat with you. Don't do none of that with these people. And they're not saying kafirs, they're saying innovators. Right? It's this topic is so clear. And yeah, I get it. Like we're not like robots that are like, oh, we just don't care about nobody or whatever. These are our family members, our mothers, our siblings, our children, our best friends that we grew up with. We are, like you said, we have this shared experience. We all have that same thing, but the difference is that I'll speak for myself, and I believe this about my close companions as well here in R2F, that we try our best to care more about the Quran and Sunnah than what our actual feelings are about something.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, if Allah forbid one of my beloved family members was a believer in Tmoa, which alhamdulillah, none of them are, but say one of them was, and if they passed away, I would not be attending their funeral on the land. I would not, because of I believe, based off of what the Quran and Sunnah says, what the Sahaba say, what the scholars say, that we're not supposed to attend the funerals of innovators. Now, if I was the only person available to bury them, yes, I'm going to take care of my brother's rights and bury that individual. Okay? So we have to have a mindset that our first reaction is, okay, I feel a certain way about doing something. We had a perfect example, right? A perfect example today. I'm gonna ask the question, hey, can we go to what was it, wax museums, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, I've been to wax museum. Like that's my first instinct. I went to, what is it called, like Madame Moore's or some crap like that.
Mm-hmm.
I remember going to one of those, but then I was like, oh well, I never thought about it before. So you go look it up and you're like, oh damn, I shouldn't have went. Astaghfirullah, may Allah forgive me, because they're promoting images and statues and all that, and you didn't need to go. This you have to go. Your first instinct has to go, what does Allah and His Messenger say about this? And I'm going to follow that, because you're going to get more pleasure and more reward out of doing that, even though it might not feel good at the beginning, because you're like, oh, everybody's going to expect me to be there. And like, I'm sorry, I'm going on a rant, but what really is a funeral? What really is a funeral? Listen, that dead body doesn't give a crap where it's buried. They don't care. You could throw them. They could throw them side of the road and bury it. They're not gonna be, oh no, get me up on the mountain. They're dead. They're fearing something way worse than like, oh, am I gonna be buried on the land, or how many people's gonna attend? They're not thinking about any of that. Okay, they don't care. We're not gonna care when I'm dead. Don't do any innovation. Put me in the ground. Make dua for me as much as you can till you forget about me. Right? That's what I want you to do for me. Okay. Make sure my kids are good so I can get some sadaqah jariyah. Do that. Do all that. We're not going to care. So people, when you realize that, the real reason why people attend funerals is because you want to show everybody else there that you actually care about this person.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You want to show, and when you put it in the context of this cult life, right? We had people that were like, you know, and I hope, well, we don't care people. I mean, I don't want to offend people, but things I say offend people. We had people literally contemplating and planning to go stand on the side of a road and watch people go to a funeral because they knew they weren't going to be allowed to go. If that isn't showing off, I don't know what is. Why are you doing that? That doesn't make any sense. Right? Imagine going to Juma, right? You're not allowed to pray Juma. It's like, I'm going to go watch them pray. Why?
No, knowing that they might fight you
after Juma. No. I remember when I was younger, I used to go to janazas as a kid just to show off fits. He said to go there. I had a new shamar kameez. I was ready to show that John a new kufi made.
That's the thing. It's like we have to really start thinking about what we're doing, and as you get, you know, I'm not gonna say like, I'm not gonna try to put myself or ourselves as like we're the perfect examples, but we should always try to represent the Quran and Sunnah to the best of our ability. And like I said, this stuff is out there. It's not like we have Google. We have trusted websites where people have asked these same questions thousands of times from very reputable sources, and you could just Google in your your question, can I attend the janazah of an innovator? And 5 or 6 respectable sources will come up and tell you the very clear answer of what you should and shouldn't do.
Mhm.
We're not saying anything from our own opinion. We're not making up fatwas. We're just repeating stuff.
It's just people's feelings, man. They want to feel a certain way. They said these individuals do not represent the majority on either side of this unfortunate reality. What's the unfortunate reality? You see, the thing is, I'm telling you, what is the unfortunate reality? What is it? And which includes the separation of communities. Who's doing that? Who's actually doing that?
Mhm.
Families and lifelong friendships. It's actually not us.
At all.
We're not doing that at all. But the thing is, it is this thing is, and if you look at what's absent here, and I think you might have mentioned it, right? What's absent here is Quran and Hadith. There's nothing. We can bring an ayah for every single one of these lines here that will slap it in the face and smack it down. There's an ayah for every single one. I mean, look at the next sentence. One very small group has recently advised Muslims not to attend the janazah of their own believing Muslim family members. Number one, we already proved that believing, well, we don't believe in the same thing.
Yeah.
Listen, okay, someone is not Muslim. Someone has a belief that's not part of Islam. Allah says, "Qul huwa Allahu ahad." Okay? I believe in that. We believe that wholeheartedly. Allah is one. Laysa kamithlihi shay.
There's none like him.
There's nothing comparable, nothing similar to Allah. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. There's nothing comparable to him. There's nothing equivalent. No one is on his level. He doesn't have any partners. لا شريك له. لا شريك له. Okay? All these things we believe in. Everything about the TMOA belief, as stated by their leader, the one who originated that group, and the one who they say they follow, who's a perfect guide, has said that it's the opposite. That he has the attributes of Allah, that he's part of Allah, that him and his son and a couple others, people, they have attributed to be part. He has told lies on Allah, told lies on the Sahaba. Okay, told lies on the messenger. So you know, it is that's the unfortunate reality. That's the main thing. But when he says one very small group, one very small group, I mean, so why
The extra adjectives, the extra adjectives, just to demean and belittle our efforts.
Yeah, this is this is one of the tactics that they try to use to throw you off. Well, if it's a small group, we don't even care whether you say it's a small group or not. But I would. That's not even relevant. But just to say it's small, why did he use this choice of words to try to fool you people who he actually is really disrespecting you? He really looks at you as dummies. That he can use this a very small group. Oh, it's a small group. Oh, that must mean what? Well, when Rasulullah when Allah told him "Qum fa'andir," how big of a group did he have? Yep. So the size of the group. What does Allah say? وَقَالَ الَّذِينَ يَظُنُّونَ أَنَّهُمْ مُلَاقُو اللَّهِ. What the people who were with Talut when they knew they would meet Allah. كَم مِّن فِئَةٍ. How many قليلة, how many a small group غلبت فئة what was the ayah? Man, I done forgot how it goes actually, but the point is كم من فئة قليلة غلبت فئة كثيرة بإذن الله. How many a small group overcomes and takes over a large group بإذن الله, with the permission of Allah. So the size of the group is not relevant. The truth is what's relevant, and the truth is what's big. The truth, when Allahu Akbar, Allah is the greatest, Allah is the biggest, and the truth is with Allah. So him using, one Sumer who has recently advised Muslims to not attend to janazah. No hadith to back it up. No Quran to back it up. Nothing all the way down through all this sensationalized, tugging at your heartstrings, treating you like a fool and an idiot, thinking that you'll just fall for this stuff.
Mhm.
Come here, come to me. Didn't call to the Quran, did not call to the Sunnah,
Yep.
but
And then
just
what is
called to the belief.
Mm.
And what keeps working on you people actually is the fact that you'll follow your desires and you will follow what
Yes.
feels good. So
Yep.
he used that and just going to tell you a bunch of stuff that's really going to sink you deeper into the hole that you're already in.
And what is this? The one line that reminds me of what the pagan Quraysh used to say to Rasul Sallallahu or about Rasul Sallallahu
The
is
people you have around you.
you're separating the communities and families and
Mhm.
lifelong friendships.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the truth does that with falsehood. Like, what's the ayat where Allah says the truth comes like rain and washes away all the musk, all the dust, or whatever the dirty foam of the floods. It's all falsehood, and the truth cleans it all out. And that's what happens. Yes, like people are saying, oh, they're causing fitna and this and this and this and that, right? When you stand upon the truth, yes, there's going to be separation because the people want to stay on falsehood, or the people that either there's going to be three groups. We can go to the three groups. Anytime there's a situation, there's three groups, right? There's a group calling to the truth. Then there's a group doing the falsehood. Then there's a group in the middle that stays on the fence.
Mm-hmm.
And we can go back to the story of the Yahud, right? When there was a group of like people that are saying, don't fish on Saturday, or don't put your nets out on Friday. Don't fish on Saturday. This is wrong. Allah said not to do this. You had the group that was doing it. Then you had the scholars or the rabbis in the middle that were like, we're not going to say anything. Just don't say anything. Let's just be cool with everybody. Let's just be on the fence. Not saying that, these people that are on the fence are not Muslims and are going to be cursed or all this and that. But the point is that Allah punished those other two groups and not the group that was calling to the truth. So there's danger in remaining in the middle. And when you're saying these, I know he doesn't realize it, but you're saying things that the Meccan pagans used to say to Rasul Sallallahu, or you're causing division, right? Let's all get along and be happy, right? What happened when Rasul Sallallahu passed away? What happened when Rasul passed away?
Red Devil Wars.
A bunch of tribes said, we ain't paying zakat. We'll do all that, but we ain't paying zakat. Yeah, another tribe, we ain't making salat. Another tribe, like, yeah, we got a new prophet, right? And the Sahabas, even Umar radiallahu anhu was like, just be easy with them. Just be patient with them. Like, let's be kind of soft with them. Abu Bakr jumped on his horse and said, in the minority, right? He's the Khalifa. In the minority, one person jumped on his horse, grabbed his sword, and said, I'm going to go get him myself. And then there was like, oh, shoot. Well, he's serious. And then they realized the gravity of the situation. And because of Abu Bakr standing up on the truth, using his wisdom, not worried about hurting anybody's feelings, he actually saved the Ummah with his actions. Because if he had not done that, Islam would have been done. Because would have had prophets over here, over there. The Ummah would have split up. He kept the Ummah together. And he was the minority at that point. Other Sahabas were saying, yeah, just be easy with them. Be nice. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. And just to really reinforce the point as well, is just, listen, this would be an issue for Muslims if we didn't have 1,000 years of history prior and various accounts from the Sahaba of their family members trying to hold them ransom to leave Islam, right? Everyone knows the story of Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, one of the Asr al-Mashra, right? His mother, I will not eat or drink or anything of that nature until you leave Islam. And listen, Sa'd still took care of his mother, obviously, but he didn't renege on his religion because his mother was going to basically kill herself instead of eating food to, hey, listen, no, don't do this anymore. No. Sa'd stayed firm in his religion. It didn't waver because, oh, my family, my mother, that's his ummah, right? Some of these people, they have a hard time understanding that just because you have numbers does not mean you're correct. There was 1 million crusaders who came to Jerusalem and killed every Muslim there. Were they correct? It's not that the numbers don't really mean you're correct, right? Every major Muslim conquest has been the Muslims, who are a small group, outnumbered by the Kuffar, all right? When Tariq ibn Ziyad came to Al-Andalus and fought against the Spaniards, all right? The Spaniards had, some reports say 180,000, right? He had 12,000 men. And Tariq ibn Ziyad, sort of like Khalid, sort of like ourselves, right? He said, listen, I'm going to burn every ship we have here, all right? Because we're not going back. We're going to go forward and conquer Andalusia. There is no going back. There is no failure. This is our only chance.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like people like you guys are so extreme. You guys burn the bridge. No, we destroyed the bridge. There's a difference. We're not trying to go back and play both sides, because what's happening is these people on the bridge, right? The bridge is being burned from both sides, right? You have the folks who are like, oh yeah, we hate y'all, right? They hate us, and you're trying to be in between us and them, right? So when the bridge eventually burns on both sides, right, you're gonna fall in the water, and then you're gonna try to swim. Save us, save us, save us. This is where you're at now. This is why you keep leaving the group. You keep trying to distance yourself from R2F for really no reason at all. Like, we don't dislike you. We don't have disdain for you, hate for you. It's performative. It's whatever you're trying to do behind the scenes. Us being firm on our stance for the Quran and Sunnah and being against Tmoa and everything they stand for is hurting whatever you're trying to do. I don't know I don't know if it's family members. I don't know if it's this person, that person, but it's hurting what you're trying to get to.
Yeah. And I got to point out that line of one very small group recently advised Muslims not to attend the Jazna of their own believing Muslim family members. This is a lie. This is a complete lie. And you guys can go back and watch the video yourselves. And I never said do not attend the funerals of your own Muslim believing family members. The only thing that was said is that if they're being buried on the land,
don't go.
And they're not going to allow you to attend, and that they're going to perform acts of innovation, then you probably should not go. You should not attend. If it is clear that they do not believe in the 7 sultans and somehow they're stuck, because there's multiple individuals that are off the juice that are still in the community because they live there, they don't want to lose their homes or whatever situation they're in. And if for instance, we know of these people. If one of those people returns to Allah, I'm not going to attend their funeral, even though I know they're a Muslim believing, and they might even be somebody, one of our family members. And like, okay, well, we know they're off the juice, and we gave a solution for that. We would say, hey, brother or sister so-and-so passed away, y'all. We should make janazah for them. We can make janazah salatul abstentia without the body. That way we don't go to the land, possibly cause a fight, cause drama, and disrupt this person's burial.
Exactly. But the next one. I mean, this is I read this, but I guess I didn't read it that well, because I don't remember him seeing where he says that I skipped the line. I'm sorry. We'll get to that line first. Another small group associated with certain administrators has become notorious by actively preventing Muslims from attending janazas, which has now spanned over 2 decades. I mean, haven't become they've been there. Okay. I mean,
real quick, because we talked about this when we talk about the cult of Tmoa. Where do people usually get stuck at when leaving the cult? There's stages, right? The first stage is like, you got the answer.
They blame the administration, right?
Exactly.
And for some reason, they don't appoint. They don't say, hey, the person who placed these people in charge, right? The Umayyads who placed Hajjaj ibn Yusuf in charge are not at fault. Hajjaj is at fault. The Umayyads placed him at charge. So Hajjaj ibn Yusuf being extreme and doing all this stuff in their honor and their name doesn't say, okay, well, it's only Hajjaj. No, the Umayyad Khalifa who's in charge, he's also at fault for appointing this person in charge, sending him to do this, right? So when Hajjaj goes under the command of the Umayyad Khalifa and puts Abdullah ibn Zubair on a spike, one of the rest of Sahabi on a spike, that's on them as well. It's not just like, okay, Hajjaj was a rogue agent. No, they knew he was wild. That's why they put him.
Yep. It's just playing into that. Yeah, he's playing into that. I know there's a large group of people that they're comfortable with not blaming Mubarak Jelani and just blaming a small group of administrators. It's just admin. This is just politics. Everything's fine with the Jamaat. It's just admin. And he knows this. And he's purposely trying to grab onto or cater towards that group. It's not just administrators preventing people from going to funerals. It's a lot of people actually in the community. Right, in the recent janazah that just happened, some knowingly non-Tmoa people were allowed to attend after much drama and back and forth, whatever. Family members of the deceased that were not in Tmoa were allowed to attend. You know how many just regular citizens or members of Tmoa were giving them dirty looks, saying nasty phrases to them, telling them to get out of here? It wasn't a small group of administrators. No, the community is split. There's some people that are like cool with ex-Tmoa people, but that's the silent minority that they can't say anything because if they know you're cool with ex-Tmoa members, then they're going to get put on the list, right? The majority of them like, no, we don't want those people here. We believe in what our Sheikh is saying, that we're the best Muslims and these people aren't really Muslims, that they're all munafiqs. They can't be here, right? They believe that. So to just put it on the administration is wrong. And he's purposely manipulating people. And like we said, the main danger is that he's preventing people from progressing on their path towards the truth. He's the siren. He's the lady singing out to you with nice words that you want to hear to come back to this place that it's like, it's going to be comfortable here. It's going to be comfortable maintaining your friends and your relationships that we've had these lifelong bonds. Let's keep them. Don't worry about the Quran and Sunnah yet, because I haven't even mentioned it and I don't need to mention it at all yet.
Yeah, I mean, this is almost like and I'm not saying that this is what Hanif is. This is what his intentions are, but Allah knows best. But this is almost like a document, a letter that would be written by someone who was kicked out of TMOA who wants to get back in. And so in a way, it's actually cool, acceptable to blame admin. Even admin won't be that mad about you blaming admin. What you can't do, you cannot mention Mubarak Jelani in a negative light. That's a no-no. But you can say you have issues with admin because you just say admin, right? If you mention Noor, then that's a no-no. But you can just say admin, and so it's ambiguous because even the people who like admin, there's some administrators there that they don't like. Mm-hmm. So by just saying admin, you can easily shift the blame or not have to pin it on anything. You can not have any strong stance. And most of the people in TMOA, from their dealings with over the years, have an issue with admin on some point level. So you're actually grouping yourself in with them. And so, I mean, it's amazing to me. If I didn't know any better, I would think this was a person who was kicked out or someone who wants to get back in. I mean, that's what it seems like. And the first thing is to put yourself in, the good graces of the majority of the people. You start hanging around, you start coming around, give a little money. I mean, that's all you got to do. You didn't have to do this. I mean, if you want to get in, give them a little money. They'll let you in. But the thing that boggles my mind, honestly, is where it says both groups and their actions are wrong and preventing or advising against janazah attendance is a major sin. Hatu burhanakum in kuntum sadiqin. Where is your evidence? Bring forth your evidence if you are truthful. And if not, if you don't have some evidence for this statement right here, saying that there was a major sin committed. So you're saying preventing or advising against the janazah, as in both. Listen, both groups and their actions are wrong, and preventing or advising against janazah attendance is a major sin. So bring the proof that, number one, we prevented or advised against a janazah, and that our advice was a major sin. Because as we know, fighting is a major sin, depending on who you're fighting or why or when. So the advice, intercourse is a major sin. or it might not be. Could be the complete opposite, depending on who, what, when, where, the context. So please bring some Quran and some Sunnah based off of what was said and bring your proof. Otherwise, I expect a full retraction of this statement and an apology. Otherwise, this ain't sincere. Because if we make a mistake and say XYZ about a person, it's been proven, what else can you do but apologize? Don't let pride get in the way. If you can't prove this statement that we committed a major sin by what was said on this channel, then we expect a retraction. Just like these press releases and these little circulars, I don't even want it. I don't even need it. But for the people, for these people that it reached, however many people that this message was sent to, the same path, the same route, the same circulation needs to be say, I was wrong. I said that these people committed a major sin, and I was wrong. If you don't do that before Allah, you have to answer for that.
Absolutely. And I just want to backtrack real quick to where he says certain administrators, right? There may be one who I'm not going to say, but besides them, right? Who is part of the administration of Tmoa that doesn't believe and follow in the followings of Jelani, who doesn't support behind Umor's veil and hide under her skirt and clear the hallways for her white load to get there, right? So besides that one person, right? Okay. Everyone else is falling under the leadership and they're going to follow to a T. This is like when people try to say, oh, the IDF is bad, the Israelis aren't bad. I have seen videos of Israeli settlers, all right, sitting down, setting up tents and watch parties to go see the bombing in Gaza. You're going to tell me these are good human beings? Like, let's not kid ourselves here.
It's like saying like certain IDF soldiers are killing women and children,
but not all of them, because some of them are just sitting on the computer, sitting missile strikes from afar.
Yeah.
Also,
it's almost like, now you pointed out, it's almost like he's also trying to reach certain maybe administrators that he might have been cool with in the past to like say, oh, I'm not talking about you.
Absolutely. I'm just going to point. Listen, Hattie, if you live in the Carolinas, and the janaza was in the Carolinas, so did you attend the janaza for Brother Wadu who passed away? Who these people contact you, so clearly you have some sort of connection with him and them. So hopefully you know, representing the neutral side, because the majority is on your side according to you. So you should have been able to attend there perfectly. No fault, no fighting, nothing. You should have just been, okay, that's just, I need this there. You know, we all agree with him. He's the neutral side. We're all on his side. So hopefully you attended. We know you didn't attend, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can tell me afterwards. Hey, no, I was there. Here's me. I have a photo shoot at the janaza. I was gonna fly. Alhamdulillah.
I mean, if he did attend, then that would be like, all right. Well, he talked the talk and he walked it. So I would at least give him credit for that.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. The only way to resolve this fitna is to return to authentic sunnah.
Didn't use a single
prior to this.
I mean, up until this point, there is zero authentic sunnah or Quran. And it's like this is like, okay, you return to authentic sunnah. It's not permissible for any Muslim who has something to will to delay it without having their last will and testament written and kept ready. Okay. This is not even, I mean, it is so far on the periphery of the context of this issue.
Yep.
That it's almost not part. The only thing that has anything to do with this is because a janaza, someone's dead at a janaza.
Someone dies.
Yes.
That's it. It has nothing to do with this issue whatsoever. And either it was one or two things. Either Hanif has no clue about context, which I know is not true because he's a very intelligent individual, or because he expects the people who it was sent to not really have a clue about hadith or context or really even care that much or whatever, or be just complete jahils that they would think this ain't even what the issue is about. So I mean, was it a mistake? Was like did you meant to copy and paste a different hadith and this one was there? And like that's the only reasonable conclusion that can come to my mind. When you clicked copy and paste, you just copied the wrong thing and forgot to proofread it before you sent it. That's the only way, because this does not fit with anything that's being talked about above it. Nothing.
And I was going to say real quickly, just for or Mubarak, or he didn't find any support for his stance, and so he used something very offshoot, very off the wall, to try and support his argument. And this is where he landed upon.
Or maybe when you went and tried to search or ask around or look, you might have saw that it was all stuff supporting what we already said. I think that may have been what happened.
And here's the thing. He definitely didn't miscopy it, because he provided a template for a will, right? A whole template for a will to fill in. And, this is where he gets into it. He says, we prepared a template for you to use, and we encourage you to complete it and share it with your family, especially those who might discourage or prevent others from attending your janazah, which can harm your hereafter. Okay, so here's a couple of things. One, it's a common trick that when you want to act like you gave support for something you're saying, you give support that, like Mubarak said, actually isn't the right context, but somehow is related to it. And then if a person's not reading careful enough, they're like, oh yeah, he provided support, right? But he didn't. He transitioned to wills and testaments. Second issue is he just confirmed this. This is, I always like doing this with messages, where they contradict themselves in their own message. He says early on, right, another small group associated with certain administrators have become notorious by actively preventing Muslims from attending janazas. So according to him, who's the one preventing people from attending janazas? This small group of administrators. But at the bottom, he then says, write this will and share it with your family. Your family's not the one that's preventing them. It's the administrators. Wow, you should probably go share it with the administrators if this was actually going to work, right? The people that are actually stopping people from going to the janazah. Third, and this is a very important point, and because it's delusional, at the best, it's naive, and this advice is totally unserious, right? We're talking about a cult group that doesn't respect the rights of Allah, doesn't respect the rights of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He himself, they don't respect the rights of marriage. They forced his wife to divorce him. They don't respect the rights of husband and wife. They don't respect the rights of returning salams. They don't respect the rights of allowing people to go to masjids. They don't respect the rights of a Muslim attending another Muslim's janazah. But guess what? Hanif is saying that they respect the rights of wills. The leader of Tmoa is in a will dispute right now for millions of dollars because she's not following the Quran and Sunnah in respect to wills. What kind of silly advice is this to give people? Yeah, put it in your will and it's gonna be okay. And then the last point I wanted to make is he says preventing others from attending your janazah can harm your hereafter. Correct me if I'm wrong. I never heard of anything of people attending your janazah or not attending your janazah that is going to actually harm your hereafter as the deceased.
So there are a hadith that talk about the amount of, I think it's at least 40. If you have 40 people believing,
you're right.
At janazah, then it I forgot what the benefit is, but there is a benefit to that.
Is there harm? Like if you're below 5, you're gonna get punished.
No, one of the companions, I believe, Abu Darda, radhiyallahu anhu, was buried alone. I think just his wife buried him. And they're just I'm sure that I don't think there's some sort of harm because it's just due to circumstance. I mean, either you're unknown, that no one knows you, no one know you died, could be a situation. But there is a benefit to, and usually, like if someone who was very beneficial to the community or to the masses, as you see some, some Ardama, famous people or whatever, they may have 1 million people at their
Right.
janazah. So
Or
that
flies.
or that people are being flies, but so that is one thing. But as far as if people are prevented from coming, that's not going to harm you, because even if you say, well, the reward for having 40 people at your janazah would be XYZ, don't you know anything about Allah to know that Allah is going to give you the credit for that if they were prevented from coming?
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. Allah is going to give you the credit for people coming if that was the case, if they were prevented. No doubt about it.
Yeah. I mean,
Let's see. May Allah soften our hearts, grant us a good ending, and bless us with Jennifer Dose, the slave of Allah, Hanif J. Williams.
So it's Joel Osteen, like I said, Joel Osteen's type of thing where just think about this. If you actually had the ear of Tmoan people, these people who are believing in all types of things, people who are believing in shirk, they're engaging in all types of things that are un-Islamic and oppressing each other.
mm-hmm.
Would it in this message you to take the opportunity to mention some of that? I think that's much more important than who does or doesn't go to a janazah. But I mean, I get it. Maybe we just wanted to pinpoint that exactly. And I just want to say this: it's not anything personal against Hanif J. Williams. We don't have any sort of dislike for him or anything like that. But it's to the point that the only reason why we even mention it, really, we just wanted to ignore it. But the problem is, just like any other person that may have the ear of people who are vulnerable and ignorant and who don't know any better, then they have to be shown, and it has to be pointed out where the mistakes are, because everybody has mistakes. And if anybody could, even you hear people who try to mention our mistakes, they do it very quietly. They have private chat rooms in which they privately refute our takes and stances on things or whatever, but they very rarely, and this is an open invitation. Hanif J. Williams, Noor, Yasir Qadi, or anybody else that we have mentioned publicly as far as some things that they have done. It's not personal, but you're more than welcome to come on the R2F show and platform and refute us, defend your position, or agree with us, or whatever. We don't care, and we're not going to hold any sort of grudges or anything personal. This is business. This is about the religion, and anything else is it doesn't matter. It's water under the bridge. So anybody who deals with us will see. We're going to deal with you the same way. But no, if there's something about the religion that you are doing wrong or need some improvement or some correction or some admonition, that you're going to get it from us. And if that makes people want to disassociate from us, or they're associating with us being a distant memory, all right, well, that's just the way it is. But we ain't gonna stop. Ain't gonna stop doing what we do until Allah, sits us down.
Yeah.
As I just put in the chat room, if anybody's had any question, post them in the chat room. I just wanted to say real quick in regards to just the cult, exiting a cult, and the life cycle of exiting a cult. We talked about this before, and I had stuff on this in like my real early videos on the channel we lost. We probably should do some more content on that so people can know what to expect. But a lot of things, what happens is when you separate yourself from a cult, in the cult group, there's stages you go through, and we all kind of go through the same stages. Some just go through them faster or slower or whatever. But a lot of times what happens is people revert, right? They revert back to previous stages, and they think it's they're actually like moving along in the process. And typical signs of you'll see that is that they actually fluctuate to great extremes. Like it's like one day they'll be saying like, curse the cult, after cult, I can't stand them, they all need to die, they all need to blow up. Then the next day they're like, no, but I love them, and we shouldn't even talk. Like they'll go all over the place like a roller coaster, right? And that is showing that they're actually not good or in a safe place. They're still healing. There's still trauma there. They're still trying to deal with being separated from what was their entire life, right? And we really wanted to talk about this, like Mubarak said. Like we didn't want to pinpoint Hanif. We didn't want to bring it up. We didn't want to backfire and just go to his head and think that we wanted to really just advise the people of what to beware of, because there are going to be people, as you wake up and recognize that, wait, this is wrong, I want to follow the Quran and Sunnah, and then your shaitan doesn't stop like, oh, he found me out, I guess I got to move on to the next one. Shaitan pivots. He's got the master pivot game, right? He's going to change strategies, change games. He's going to move on to the next step. And, just classically, so Shaitan's going to try to get you to sin, right? If he can't get you to sin, then he's going to try to do the next step. And like to the people that he's like, he can't get to sin, then I'm going to get them to waste their time at least, right? There's stages that he takes, right, to get people. So when we're talking about this cult stuff, right, and you're talking about the goal is I want to be totally separated from, here's the end goal, in my opinion. This is my opinion. I'm not saying this is like, I could probably justify it with the Quran and Sunnah, but here's my opinion. When you leave a cult and you talk about the different stages, I believe that part of the final stage, like, oh, I am Super Saiyan now, like I have leveled up, I am professional, is when you actually actively start working to give dawah to the cult people publicly, knowingly, like you're out there, boots on the ground, saying, hey, I am Jafar or James Griffin, I don't believe in that, and y'all shouldn't either, and I'm working against it, right? Out front in the public. That's like part of the final goal. Now, if you look at that as a final goal, what Shaitan's going to do is he's going to do things to prevent you from getting to that goal, right? And the big middle part of that goal is just be quiet and live your life. Just live your life. Be cool with everybody. Don't let anybody really know where you stand. Just don't say anything, right? You can hate it in your heart. And then that hate it in your heart turns to you could be okay with it in your heart. And then that okay with it in your heart turns to, you know what? I need to speak against the people that are preaching against the falsehood, right? And Shaitan is slowly dragging you back to a place that is, because look, TMOA doesn't even publicly refute us. Think about that. TMOA does not publicly refute R2F, but we have people that are non-TMOA publicly refuting R2F. Think about where Shaitan has brought you on that path. You are doing the work for TMOA, not even knowing about it. It's crazy.
Absolutely. And just I'm gonna say this last thing is okay. So I have something I call the Derek Rose theory. Okay, right? And essentially how it works is once someone either dies or passes away, right? Because basically Derek Rose, after his ACL injury, is like, listen, cooked. Right, okay. People tend to overrate them, right? And they tend to just like glorify the things that they did, excuse anything bad. It was like, okay, people believe, hey, Derek Rose will be double the player of Westbrook or Curry, right? Okay. So when these people, right, who were upon falsehood or misguidance, right, when they pass away, because you know them, right? You're like, oh, he was such a great man. You try to excuse and excuse away all other falsehood and their misguidance that they did when they were alive, because hey, their affairs are for law. And they weren't even all that bad. Who knows? Maybe right before he died, he said, "I denounce your lying beliefs." Or maybe Queen Elizabeth was secretly Muslim. Maybe Muslim al-Khaddam said like before. Like you could do this for any person or anything, right? This is like, okay, well, if Derek Rose stayed healthy, he would have won 4 rings. Like no, that's like we tend to overrate folks whenever they pass away to us. Yeah. Oh dang, if only because seeing their full potential. If only he would have, before he passed away, if Wadud would have come back to Islam properly. oh, he would have been fine, but it didn't happen. That's the whole thing. Like, it sounds good. Oh man, it's so sad. It didn't happen though. He didn't do that. Derrick Rose didn't stay healthy. Like, I'm sorry, and everyone loved Derrick Rose, but it didn't happen that way.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I understand, man. I really do. And I think honestly, when because a couple of people have died recently, and even I found myself I don't know about feeling some sympathy, but it is sad for the people who were close to and related to and connected to, and actually genuinely loved the people. And I'm not saying that you can't, because it's natural. That a person who is related, like we have non-Muslim family members, we love them, but we understand the situation, and we don't cross lines and barriers that Allah has put up and His Messenger has put up. So we're not insensitive to the fact that these are actual human beings who people were connected to that are passing away, they're dying, and they have relatives and family members and loved ones. It's sad. It's the saddest part is not that you can't go to the funeral, though. Yeah. The saddest part is not that one group is advising not to go, that you shouldn't go, or another group is saying you can't go. The saddest part is that your Islam is at best in question. At best, highly questionable. That's the sad part. Yes. That you can live 60, 70, 80 years and have not figured out how to solidify yourself in Islam and to single out Allah alone for worship, and to make sure that you do not associate any partners whatsoever, and that no one would even dream of thinking that you would have anything to do with shirk and associating partners with Allah. That's the sad part. That's the sad part.
I think Amr touched on it too earlier, is that aspect of guilt, because anybody who's had a family member that was either non-Muslim or now people that are going through the Jamaat that passed away, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I can't attend their funeral, but the real like Mubarak said, the real sadness is like, dang, I could have said something, I could have done more, maybe if I'd have brought it up more times, or this person might have accepted the message or whatever. And we all have to go through that, unfortunately. And I will say this, that we still do interviews for anybody that wants to do it. We still do allow people to come on the show and tell their story and be public. And you never know, the one person that you may have to attend their funeral, guess what? You coming on the show or being public about your beliefs and saying, I don't believe it, that might be the straw that breaks that person's back, that says, you know what? I'm going to abandon this falsehood too. Like I said, we have people that are stuck in TMOA, like you said, involuntarily. They have been clear, like, yeah, I don't believe in this stuff no more. And alhamdulillah for them, at least they got to that point.
But I would even say for those people, I don't know, we got to wrap up, but I would say for those people that some of these people that are dying on false beliefs and are tangled up in shirk and kufr and all these things, you're to blame. You're partially to blame.
Listen, yeah.
You people who, even the people who say, well, I don't believe in it, but you're quiet. But you see them and laugh and joke and have fun with them and interact with them, but you don't remind them. You don't say, hey, this belief is not right. You can't even speak up or speak out. You can't even say anything. You can't even sit down in a chair in your own home and turn your phone on and tell those people and speak directly to those people and say, this is shirk. This belief is not there. If all the people who are too afraid to say anything, the people who don't believe, if you actually all just stood up right now today, almost no one would continue on those beliefs. Why? Because they would see everyone around them, actually this belief is false. Some people are stuck on it, and Allah is the one who guides ultimately, so we can't guarantee anything. But probably why you people are so sad and so emotional about these people dying on the things that they're believing in, and you want to go to their janazas and you want to see them one last time and all this, because you yourself are not doing all that you can do. And that's what really is sad as well. You're not doing what you can do, what you should do for them. If you really loved them, like you say you do, if you really care about them, and you're these tears and emotions, wouldn't it be better? Wouldn't it be better for you to use these tears and emotion, and you're ready to go to a janazah and even be beat up if you have to? Okay, use that same energy now. Okay, yeah, if I speak up, maybe they might beat me up. Well, okay. But see, the janazah really a shield for you. Because instead of you saying your beliefs and then have to live on it and have to deal with it, now you can just say, I'm just here because he died. You don't have to say, this is false what y'all believe in. You don't got to go toe to toe and face to face on that front. So it's easier. No, what you need to do is use that same energy. I will tell you something that I tell myself every day. And really, it's life-changing if you try to live by it. And that's either you can deal with the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. One or the other. But you're going to go through some pain one way or the other.
I mean, it's a good note to end on. Amr, you want to close us out?
Yes.
Stay on to upload, you guys.
Yes. But just real quick for Hanif. Maybe he wasn't aware. But like, you know, we spend a lot of time trying to research these topics and uncover falsehoods and try to make, you know, certain things clear, certain things that may have been hidden, right? And you know, Mubarak mentions this all the time about how there's this place, you know, in Pakistan where you know, Ali he allegedly fought a giant, expelled him from the cave, and killed a demon, right?
Lahut
Where's it at, Mubarak?
Lahut Lamakan is still in Pakistan. In case y'all didn't know. It's still there.
That's going to be in my will. Make sure you bury me in Lahut Lamakan.
But yeah, in all seriousness though, Hanif, listen, there isn't hate, beef between us. We just listen. When you're wrong, we're gonna tell you you're wrong, as you have no problem telling us when you think that we're wrong. And really, like this is sincere advice from us to you. We love you as a Muslim brother. We hope that you do well, and you know, use your platform for good, inshallah, going forward. Subhanallah walhamdulillah wa la ilaha illallah wallahu akbar wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-azim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Still in Pakistan. Oh, hold up. We supposed to stay on.
Yeah, stay on. We're offline, so we